Here we go. It says a student worked out at a gym continuously for 50 minutes. The graph shows the remaining percentage of the workout as a linear function of x, the time in minutes. What is the domain and range of this situation? Okay, this was the question that we literally did for the warm-up yesterday, right? The reason I'm showing it to you again is I want you to understand that domain is all of our x values. So for this one, it would be 0 to 50. For the range, it's going to be 0 to 100. We're all okay with that. The reason we're not just picking individual points is because this line is consistent. And anywhere that I drew up, if I go from 5 up, I've got a point. If I go from 17.5 up, I hit a point. That's why we're going to have all of the numbers opposed to just individual dots, like on the scatter plot. Okay, number 2 says, what are the domain and range of this particular situation? Now, this says f of x equals negative 37. What do we know that f of x is? The function of x, right? And I told you another idea or another phrasing or description of f of x is what? Y, right? So do we agree that this is also just saying y equals a negative 37? Okay, so let's think about this. If I were to graph y equals negative 37, this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis. Y equals negative 37. It's going to look something like this. Do we agree? Okay, so let me ask you this question. Domain is going to be what? All real numbers, because these two arrows right here mean this goes on forever and ever and ever both directions. Do we agree? What's my range going to be? This one's a little bit trickier, but it's really not. Colin, what do you think? Negative 37. Do you have any other change from your y value? It's just negative 37. There's no point up here. There's no point here. There's no point below this. It just has to be y equals negative 37. Good? Okay. Next question. All right, which inequality best represents the domain of the part shown? Now, obviously, I don't have the answer choice on here, so we're going to have to just figure it out. So when it says which inequality, we're going to have to create our own inequality. But we worked on that, I believe it was Monday, so I think we should be okay with this. First of all, what is my domain? Does that mean x or y, Luke? X, right? So we're looking for what are all of the possible x values. Well, the smallest x value that we have is going to be this point right here. Can everybody agree with that? Negative 9 is my smallest one. You might tell me what my biggest one's going to be? 7. 2, right here. So now what this is telling me is that all of these values in between the negative 9 and the positive 2 are going to be my domain. Is everybody okay there? All right, so when I write this out, it's going to be negative 9, there's going to be an x somewhere, and there's going to be a 2. Now, we've got to use inequality symbols because it tells me in the problem I'm using inequality symbols. How do I know which ones are going to go where? Steven?
By the type of circle.
By the type of circle. We know that they're both going to be less than signs, but this one is open, which means that this is going to stay less than. This one is closed, which means it's going to become less than or equal to. Now let's read this out loud just to kind of understand it. Negative 9 is less than x. Well, I agree negative 9 is less than whatever my x value is. But can I include negative 9? Because it's an open circle. Then it says x is less than or equal to 2. Well, I agree x is less than or equal to 2 because of the closed circle. Easy enough? Questions? Just want to reiterate, if you have questions, you try to ask them. So I'm going to keep going so we can try to get through this whole thing. But if you want me to slow down, I will. Yeah, what's up, George?
So, how do you tell if it's a less than or greater than?
It's always going to be a less than.
All right.
Always, always, always. Unless you try to write it backwards, which I don't advise.
All right.
All right, again, we talked about this question, I believe yesterday, maybe the day before. The dumbbells, correct?
Yes.
Hey, can we take your headphone out for me, please? Thank you. We need to go over it again, or are we okay? Okay. All right, here's a good one. It says the total cost in dollars to buy uniforms for the players on a volleyball team can be found using the following function. Okay, I know that doesn't say y equals mx plus b. Can anybody tell me, though, what what type of equation is that in? What form? What form is that equation in? JT? Slope-intercept form, right? Because if I wanted to, this is my y equals mx plus b. Are we all okay with that? Can anybody tell me why we're not using y and x though? It's not a trick question again, it's just more of like a, can you see why? Addison?
Because it's just like, he's on the first line.
Yeah. It's just being a little bit more specific. So it's saying the cost is equal to $34.95 times the number of uniforms plus $6.25. So again, just trying to make it a little bit easier for you to read. U is the number of uniforms bought. If there are at least 8 players, but not more than 12 on the volleyball team, what is the domain of the function of this situation? All right, so here we go. We're going to have C equals $34.95 times U plus $6.25. Domain means what? X or Y? X, okay? So it's telling me that my domain has to be at least 8 players. Can it be less than 8 players? No. Because it says at least 8, meaning that 8 is the smallest amount, but no more than 12. Is everybody okay with that? So let me ask you this, not a trick question again. What's the domain of this problem? 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. Do we agree? Questions on that? Yeah. For this one, so it's a great question. Can there be 8 players? So that would be a close one because we can include 8. Can there be 12 players? It says no more than 12, meaning that it can be 12, but it can't be 13. So they would be both be closed. Okay? I'm pretty confident for the answer choices on that question, though. It's not giving you the inequality range. It's just literally asking 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Pretty confident. Could be wrong, though, so it's a good question, Brian. Okay, a baker determined the annual profit in dollars from selling pies using the function of n is equal to 52n minus 0.05 n squared, where n is the number of pies sold. What is the annual profit in the baker sells 400 pies? So n is the number of pies sold. So if I write this, we're good with that? What's up, Brian? Why am I multiplying 400 where? Because I'm replacing the value of n. So that's all it is. So, yeah, go for it. All right, solve it out. You guys can chat too, like you don't have to just sit there silently. Anybody got an answer yet? What did you get, Colin?
20,400.
20,000 what?
400.
Do we agree?
Or 400.
400? Do I get any different? Carlos, what you got? Abby, what'd you get? Okay. Let me ask you this. Somebody tell me, what is 52 times 400?
20,800.
20,800. Very good. And then, do we have to do the negative 500ths times 400 or the 400 squared first? 400 squared. What is 400 squared? 1,600? 160,000. Okay. And I've got to multiply that by negative 500ths. Anybody tell me what that's going to give me? So if we have 20,800 minus 8,000, then I end up with, what is that?
11,800.
Colin, see the difference there?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, moving right along, just plugging those in. Okay, same idea, just a lot smaller numbers. So what is the value of the function of 11? So what are you going to do with that 11, Zoe?
You're gonna plug it in for that.
Plug it in for x, good. All right, try this one instead, a little smaller numbers. Hey, Ben, when class is over, we go to the office. I don't know why, they just emailed me. Okay, we obviously know we have to do parentheses first. Am I gonna do 11 squared or 11 squared plus 1 first? 11 squared, right? Exponents always come first. What is 11 squared?
121.
Okay. 121 plus 1 is obviously 122. 5 times 122 is what?
610.
610 plus 16 gives me 626. Good to go? All right, cool. All right, this is just a similar problem. Can I skip over this one? The same idea?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Graph of linear function passes through the point and has a slope of -3. What is the 0? A lot of points going on here. What is it referring to when it says 0? Not the y-intercept. Good guess. The x-intercept, right? Write down your notes. 0 means x-intercept. 0 means x-intercept. 0 means x-intercept.